Welcome back to Cynthia Untamed. This is your youthful and educational platform where we have conversations with and about children and youth in Africa. So make sure you subscribe so that you don't miss any content on children and young people right here in Africa. We're all about education, all about empowerment, and all about growth. My last video was on the Constitution of Kenya turning 10 years old, so make sure you check it out and let me know what that means for you as a Kenyan child or as a Kenyan youth. How do you overcome the fear of public speaking? You've been told to speak in a conference, you've been told to speak in your school parade. How do you speak confidently and make sure that your audience is engaged and you leave an impression and a mark? Be gentle with yourself and start with a small group of people. It could be about 5 or 10 people. Pick an idea or a topic and make sure you generate your points and start speaking to them and tell them to listen to you. Also ask them for feedback and ask them how you can improve when you're speaking to a group of people. That really helps to build the momentum in case one day you have to speak to a group of 100 people or 1,000 people. Whenever you want to do anything, you must prepare. Prepare. If you're going to speak in your school parade or in a conference or in an event, a Zoom meeting, make sure you prepare your talking points, know what exactly you're going to say, and time yourself. If possible, ask the host of the event to tell you how many minutes you have to speak, just so that you can pace yourself. Preparing is so important, and once you have the key points to whatever you're going to say, all you need to do is internalize and make sure you speak from the heart, but using the key points that you already put down. If you're going to go to a conference and speak about an important subject, don't memorize. Tell a story. I'll tell you the trick. Write it down, write everything you want to say, then pace yourself, read it and time yourself. If you were given 10 minutes to speak, how long would your speech be if you had to read it? Then make sure you type it again and you reread it and proofread it. If possible, send it to someone to proofread it for you so that your thoughts are articulate. Once you have that speech written down, then you can find a way of telling that story the way you had written it down. Remember, you're not supposed to memorize. If you memorize, it's going to sound a little bit inauthentic. But if you internalize, there's a difference between memorizing and internalizing. If you internalize what you want to say, it's going to be easier for you to deliver. If you want to learn more about public speaking, by the way, and see how people speak so well, do make sure you check out Dada Sphere, and especially my talk where I was talking about the conversation that changed my life, and you learn how to pace yourself properly. Use visuals, and this is especially important right now in the middle of a pandemic where a lot of events are happening on Zoom. So make sure that your PowerPoint presentation, if that's what you're using, does not have too many lines and too many words. If possible, just use a photo and 1 or 2 words that actually tell what you're saying. Use your words to express the image that you are showing, and that way people are able to pay more attention because they're seeing an image or a video that breaks the ice and breaks the monotony of you speaking. Sleep enough. I know this may sound like a joke, but it's really important for you to sleep enough, because when your brain is well rested in the morning or in the afternoon, whenever you're supposed to speak, then your thoughts are able to flow smoothly. If you don't sleep enough, you have a restless night, you wake up feeling tired, you're going to feel grumpy, and this is even going to affect your mood. So it's important for you to sleep enough, rest enough, so that you're refreshed, and by the time you're going to give that important presentation or that important talk, you can easily deliver it with a lot of grace. It's important for you to engage your audience. There is nothing more important than ensuring that your audience is listening to you. Imagine if you speak for a whole hour, and I've been in events where someone spoke for nearly 1 hour, and by the end of the hour, I had no idea what they were saying. So it's so important for you to engage your audience. The best way of engaging your audience is look at them. look at them, smile at them. And if it makes you nervous to look at people directly, look above their heads. If you're standing on a stage or you're standing in front of people, look above their heads. But if possible, whenever you can, look at their eyes. Change directions, look at this side, look at that side. Have you observed how President Barack Obama also uses gestures to speak? When you're speaking in front of people, don't just stand there reading a speech or just standing there just talking like this. No, use gestures. If you want to emphasize something, move your hands. Show. If you want to talk about strength, you can do this. If you want to talk about love, you can do this. Try and move your hands so that people also see the nonverbal cues, and so that they can also see that you are engaged with them, that you're speaking to them and you want to bring value to them. You're not just there because of yourself for them to listen to you. You actually want them to know what you're saying. It's also important, if you can, to ask a question in the middle of your talk, especially if your talk is very long. Let's say if your talk is an hour or 50 minutes, make sure you have a spot for question and answer. You have a spot for comments. Possibly you said something, so you want someone to also say something else. You can also dramatize something. If you have checked my video on how to moderate panels, there was a guy who was one of the speakers, and what he did, he first came, then he actually took the audience through an activity. He told them, write something on a piece of paper. Tell your neighbor to read it for you. What do they think about it? You see, that way you're able to break the monotony at the very beginning or at the middle. Make sure your audience is there to the very end. I'm telling you, there's nothing as sad as you've talked for an hour or for so long and people are asleep, or you were speaking on Zoom and somebody went and watched another video, came back after you were done, went to take their lunch or their breakfast, waiting for you to finish. There's nothing as bad as that. So make sure that you keep your audience engaged at all times. One of the keys to great public speaking and overcoming your fear of public speaking is building your confidence. Confidence is so important when you're speaking to people. Sometimes people will say that you spoke so well, not necessarily because you are an expert in that subject, but because you are very confident in delivering what you're saying. The best way of building your confidence really is to work on yourself. Working on your confidence comes from within. You have to tell yourself that you are good enough. You are enough without this, without that, without a big title. You are enough by virtue of being you, by virtue of you being Mary or Jen or Peter or John or Cynthia. You are enough by virtue of being who you are. And once you accept who you are, then it's very easy for you to radiate the positivity and the confidence to your audience. Practice, practice, practice. I talked about preparing, but then there's also the aspect of practice. You see, if you've watched TED Talks, there's a way they usually deliver their talks in about 10 to 15 minutes. And it's because they take even up to weeks or months of preparing to be on that stage. So it's important for you to practice, practice, and practice again and again, especially if you know whatever you're going to talk about is a month or two away. You have enough time to practice. For me, how I practice is sometimes I stand in front of the mirror, or even if I'm not standing in front of the mirror, I try to watch people who've talked about the same subject before. Then I see what they've said before and what made their delivery really good and what made their delivery really poor. It's also important for you then to also emulate people who've done a lot of public speaking engagement. For me, I always look at people like Oprah Winfrey or Michelle Obama or Barack Obama or Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, and all these people bring their different perspectives. If you look at how Chimamanda delivers her public speaking, she always infuses the art of storytelling within her speeches. Barack Obama is very good with selling hope within his speeches. Michelle Obama has a way of infusing how her upbringing has influenced her thoughts and has influenced how her life is right now. Oprah Winfrey talks about the energy from within. She always sells on that. So for you also, identify what makes you sell your speech, what makes you sell your story, what makes you sell your presentation. And once you identify that style, practice on it, and then put all these things together, from Barack Obama to Oprah Winfrey to what you know as you, what you know as Cynthia, what you know as Peter or Mary or John, what works for you. Put them together and then deliver. Trust me, whatever you do, whatever you say will be transformative, and people will really love what you are saying. People tend to forget to pace themselves. Sometimes they speak too slowly or too fast. So if you speak too slowly, people are going to get tired of what you're saying. There's going to be a lull, and people might fall asleep or start yawning, start drinking their water, doing things. And sometimes people speak too fast, so before you know it, they had like a whole hour to speak or 30 minutes to speak, and they only spoke in 10 minutes. And I'm not telling you to speak for too long or for such a short time, but it's important for you to pace yourself. The best way of pacing yourself is breathing. When I was taking the Dada Sphere class on public speaking, they really emphasized on the importance of breathing. Take a breath. You see, the way I've said, practice, prepare for that speech, write it down, and then now know how to tell that story. Sometimes you'll stand on the stage, and when you start speaking, you might forget what you were supposed to say. You might forget what you had written down. So just take 2 seconds, breathe in, breathe out, because when oxygen goes to your brain, then you can remember. And even if you won't remember exactly what you wrote down, another idea may just come at exactly that point, and you'll still be able to deliver. So it's so important for you to pace yourself. Just deliver slowly, take a step, one step at a time, and make sure that your ideas flow. If you are talking about something, make sure that your story or your speech has a beginning and an end. And most of the time, people like stories or speeches that begin from a point of oppression, a point of hurt, a point of victimhood to a hero. People want to see a hero, whether it's you or someone else, emerge out of that story. And sometimes whatever you're going to talk about is not necessarily even a life story. Sometimes you're going to talk about a very technical area, like the aspect of education, internet connectivity. Then you must be able to infuse the aspect of, let's say, a group of marginalized people not having the opportunity to access to a point where they can access, and how the future looks for them and how the current situation looks for them. People want to see that transition. They want to see that whatever it is you're talking about has a beginning and has a hopeful end, preferably. You can also take a class on public speaking. I have heard of Toastmasters class. I have never done it, but you can take that class. A friend of mine took it, and she told me that it was amazing and really transformed how she speaks to people. You can also just learn from YouTube. If you can't afford to take a class, there are many free online classes on YouTube. There are many free online classes on Harvard, and there are many free online classes on LinkedIn that can help you to learn how to speak. So just set goals for yourself. Say, today I am speaking like this. I don't like how I deliver whatever it is that I say. How can I improve on that? And then now take different angles. You see, from all the things that I have said, you can say, today I'll do a class, or I'll do a training, or I want to learn how to speak like Barack Obama. That's all I'll do today. Tomorrow I want to learn how to use visuals. The next day I want to learn how to engage. The next day I want to learn how to breathe and pace myself. You see, by the time you go to speak again, you'll have learned so many different angles of all these tips, and your speech or whatever it is you're saying in front of a public space, in front of people, will really be so different and transformative. It's also important when you're speaking in front of people to be present. And by being present, I don't mean just being present physically, because sometimes you're there, you're just rushing through things to finish and go away. But being present means that you're there. People can see that whatever it is that you're talking about is all you're thinking about at that particular moment. Your words are not moving from this topic to that topic. You're focused, you're concentrating on something, and you're delivering. They can see that energy within you radiating and they know that you are there. Because remember, when you're speaking in front of people, it's not about you, it's about what your audience will get out of whatever it is that you are saying. There is also the aspect of personal grooming. When you go to stand in front of people, you want to look nice. Whatever setup it is in, whether it's casual or traditional or business casual, whatever angle it is, make sure you dress for the occasion so that you're not thinking about, oh, how do I look? Is my dress torn? Oh, how do I look right now? And I'm not telling you have to wear clothes from Alexander McQueen designer clothes. Just look nice and presentable. Make sure your hair is neat, your nails are not dirty. It's really the simple things. You brushed your teeth. It's the simple things really that make a difference, because you see, when you go there and you're looking presentable, when you're well groomed, people will take you seriously, and even that way they will listen to you. Finally, be open to feedback. Feedback is so important. Sometimes people will come and say, oh, I liked how you articulated that point. So you see, that's feedback. Make sure you replicate it in any other space you'll speak again. If someone said, oh, you spoke a bit too fast there, I didn't understand, make sure the next time you speak, you pace yourself. It's so important for you to evaluate the feedback that you get. And sometimes people are negative, so they'll possibly just tell you something out of spite. Also, be able to have the wisdom to know, oh, this is not right, this is not right, this is good advice, this is not good advice. And that way you're able to continue growing as a public speaker. Let me know what works for you whenever you're going to speak in public, in whatever spaces that you usually speak in. What are your tips? What are your tricks? Or what do you even want to improve on? Possibly I could also elaborate on that. What do you want to improve on? And also let me know what you'd like my next video to be about. I've done so many videos, so make sure you check them out. Check out my video on building your personal brand, growing your social media accounts, my top 35 under 35 media youth advocate category award. Make sure you check out all these videos and let me know what you want to be informed about. Remember, this channel is your youthful and educational platform. We have conversations with and about children and youth in Africa. Leave a comment below. Let me know where you're watching from or what you've learned today. What did you like about this video? Leave a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Engage with me and let me know. Don't forget to follow me on social media. On Twitter, tweet me at Cynthia_Oprah. On Instagram me, send me a DM at CynthiaOprah_Nyongesa. On LinkedIn, Cynthia Nyongesa. Let's continue having all these conversations about children and young people.